Yeah, National Quilting Day is this month.
Yes, it's the third Saturday of each month,
Of
March every year. And we have some fun plans ahead for those of you who want to participate in that. And we're going to answer some other questions that people asked on social media. Okay, Jody's here from Wisconsin. Good. Okay, it's always the first person.
Just seeing the first person reassures us everything's working.
Yeah.
So, yeah, should we start just by talking about National Quilting Day?
Actually, I want to.
She's got the plan.
Yeah, I want to start with the. Oh, hey, Debbie. I want to start with the. Are we there yet? Emails I'm getting. So we love that you're excited about our events and our fabric lines and our publications.
And what's next in general.
And that's wonderful. But we have learned over the years that it's not smart to share things before they are up on our website, because we will get inundated with, where's that? Where's this? When is this happening? And then it just makes it hard to get our work done.
So we plan far in advance, but we release details when they are ready, and that is when they're on our website.
Yeah, so the next publication, the next fabric line, the next quilt-along, all of those things, as soon as we're ready to tell you about them, as soon as they're on our website, that's when we'll be ready to tell you about them.
So you can be guaranteed that we're working on lots of exciting things. There's a lot coming your way, but we're
not retiring tomorrow.
No.
No, not that I know of. So, but we have learned over the years that, when we started Modern Quilts Illustrated, I want to say it's about 15 years ago now, we tried to do 3 issues a year, and we
tried a subscription model.
We did. We tried lots of different things, and what we found is that being tethered to that schedule meant that we didn't feel like we could do our best work.
And it also meant that we missed other opportunities. We think that one of the joys of being a publisher is setting our time frame so that if we have a new idea, if we have new fabrics to work with, if there's really something exciting, we can kind of halt the presses, change what we're doing, include that, and make sure things are always fresh for you, and that we can do other opportunities that come along.
But it's, to me, it's things like, you might think that getting fabric delivered on a specific date is just something, it's like you just order it on Amazon or something.
Oh, no.
And it's way more complicated than that. And there's just, every fabric of ours that you have touched has been touched by hundreds of other people in one way or another, whether it's at the mill, whether it's loading it onto the freight, whether it's, people at the warehouse, people cutting fat quarters, people bundling fat quarters.
There are a lot of
it's
variables.
An enormous number of people that you have to go, that have to handle your stuff, and at every point there's the opportunity for delays. So fabric that we thought was going to be here on Monday or Tuesday, we have any minute now 600 yards of fabric is arriving that we thought were going to arrive on Monday or Tuesday. So it's just, always delays.
Sometimes it's a 2-day delay, sometimes it's a 2-month delay. So we have found over the years that the best thing is to just announce what's coming when it is actually ready to ship and is on our site.
So we'll let you know. I'm going to answer Linda's question before it gets buried. She's a custom quilter and does lots of stitch in the ditch. What's our opinion of stitch in the ditch?
Specifically when seams are pressed open.
So we're always, we never want to be quoted as they have this rule, or they tell you you're not supposed to do this. But we do have opinions about techniques, and we never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, use stitch in the ditch.
And that's not, I'm going to jump in.
You're welcome to use it.
Not just when seams are pressed open. We just don't stitch in the ditch regardless of how seams are done.
Yeah.
And it's more of a design. I think the question that you're asking, Linda, is, if I understand, when seams are pressed open, some people worry about stitching in the ditch because they feel like that seam is vulnerable somehow. We aren't opposed, like, we choose not to do it, not because of any technical reason, but simply from a design point of view, design reason.
We could spend the entire hour on stitch in the ditch. If you love it and if you find it helpful in your quilting,
do it.
Do it in any way that works for you.
And it's fine with seams pressed open even.
Yeah, but I don't think that there's really much difference. But I don't think there's much difference between stitching. If you're going to stitch in the ditch, I don't think there's much difference in the way you press the seams, because typically you're putting a needle through the thread that was already there, one way or another.
Yeah.
So, but all that matters to us is that we don't want to argue about it, and we want people to feel like they can use the techniques that they like and enjoy and match their aesthetics.
Yeah.
But stitch in the ditch is one of those for us. There are very few nevers, but for us, it's a never. And that's why we don't worry about it.
And I just want to separate. It's not a never because we think there's some problem with it. It's not going to compromise the integrity of your quilt. For me, it's a never just because we love the opportunity of having an additional layer of design with the quilting that doesn't just mimic the piecing, at least for me. We may have slight differences.
For me, there's 100 reasons. One of them is that the argument that many people have brought to me, because they're trying to convince me to like stitch in the ditch, and that will never happen. But it's the argument that's been brought to me is, oh, you need to make your blocks pop and stabilize your blocks, and there's a whole series of arguments about why you have to outline everything to make the blocks pop. That's always the word that's used. And from my perspective, if you've done good color work, you shouldn't need to do that. Mm-hmm. I think it can look messy. I'm sure when you do it, it's not messy, but for a lot of people, it looks messy. But I feel like it's not the point of quilting, which is to provide a functional way to get all the layers together, but it's just a different aesthetic. I think it's just a different aesthetic.
And I'm just going to say really quickly, because we could go on and on, but also with the way that we design, our blocks are rarely ever meant to be independent. They have design interplay with others. And so as soon as you stitch in the ditch, you are really... You're kind of fighting some of the design. You're boxing yourself
in. So, that's exactly it.
We'll leave it.
Yeah, I know. But we have strong feelings about it. But anyway, so you do whatever works for you.
Yeah. We never want to get into arguments, but I do think it's good to explain why we think what we do, because you will have different opinions and you can work with yours.
But I also think that we really need to encourage each other to do what works for you, to not feel like we all have to agree on everything, to not be unpleasant about it, to just kind of like, if you're asking our opinion, otherwise we don't go there. because we get people wanting to convert us.
Yes.
But I think if you find that it works for you, then great.
Exactly.
But I would also say that, like, you know, you might want to change, maybe if that's an important technique for you, then maybe you want to press your seams, you know, in a way that works best for you.
For you, that's good.
So, let's see. Okay,
right.
So let's get on to international. Oh, so hold off with the emails about when's the next quilt along, when's the next fabric, when's the next publication.
I always love.
It's coming.
I always love the emails that are like, we love to quilt along. You really need, like, take a break. But when's the next one? We haven't even taken a break yet.
I know. We still have 600 pounds of fabric.
So we'll get there. We'll get there.
We're getting there. But we do have some other things we've been working on that we want to share with you.
Yes.
So third Saturday of every March, International Quilting Day. Okay.
So that is just around the corner.
Yeah. And this will not be of interest to some of you. Debbie Chen, I'm looking at you. Because she hates curves. However,
she said she tolerates
curves.
She doesn't hate curves.
That's Debbie language for hates curves. But we're going to do a little event around our quilts, our friends all around pattern. And we're going to do
just a free.
Yes, free.
Free. I mean,
just
you'd have to pay for the pattern.
Friends all around.
But it's going to be kind of a day of quilt along fun.
Facebook Lives for helping you make Debbie. That's actually on your future to-do list. What? Okay, so this quilt. Let's show you the
Let's
whole.
open over there.
Oh, okay. This quilt, well, is really a maximalist quilt. And the reason I thought that this would be fun to do as a mini quilt along is that it's really complex. It's not a big quilt, although you could make it a big quilt. It's very complex.
In terms of color and fabric work, the sewing, it's actually, each block is only 4 pieces and every block is the same.
Right.
So simple structure.
It's curves. It's a bunch of curves.
Simple structure, complex design.
Yeah. So it's a bunch of curves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like stack up, 8 layers of fabric. You're going to be cutting a lot of pieces and pinning. There are some people who don't pin.
It is super stash friendly.
Yeah, super stash friendly.
I mean, it works with prints, with solids.
Yeah.
Ours is maximalist because the one that you see here, we use 256 fabrics.
Yeah.
We did it as a true charm quilt, which means no fabric is repeated twice. But
we also have in the pattern, you can see there are variations for people who want to repeat it. You use a smaller palette. But the thing that we thought is so great about this pattern, and it's really one of my favorites, that finished quilt, is that it's a really great example of how to edit a really busy kind of maximalist palette.
It absolutely is.
So, Bill?
We're fine. We're fine. I just have to get this.
No, you're making me crazy. So we're going to have the videos about how to curate the palette and how to match all of the, not match, but assemble the prints and all of that kind of thing. Different approaches to the color work, different approaches to different genres of fabrics you could use. So we'll have in the morning on the 16th, and we'll give you a schedule later, but in the morning we'll have a kind of general how to plan the fabrics that you want to use and how to edit, and I'll answer questions. Bill will answer questions. And then we'll give you a couple of hours to edit your palettes and cut a few of the pieces out. And then we'll do a Facebook Live sewing demo of how to sew those curves, press the curves, put blocks together, and you'll be able to answer lots of questions. So this is just gonna be an optional free Facebook Lives. You would need to pay for the pattern, but the actual tutorial, the sort of class part of it, will be free of charge.
And as Weeks just showed you, this is in Modern Quilts Illustrated number 15. So we know that many of you already have this publication.
So then you'd be set.
It's it's already up on our website, but this morning we did something different. We took that single pattern and we made it available as a one-time download for just $10. So I'm actually going to put this right now in the chat, that it's a link to the download. So if you don't have the publication, I mean, it's great to order it. I mean, it's a beautiful publication. The publication has lots of additional patterns. But if you're someone who wants immediate gratification,
or you're an international customer,
or you're international and you'd rather just click and download a PDF, it's a 4-page PDF that has a photo of the quilt, a little discussion of fabric selection. It has the fabric requirements, and it also has the templates, which you need to print out at actual size, which it says, and then transfer those either to cardstock or to template plastic. Either one would work fine.
Or if you happen to have our Good Measure Modern Circles templates, the pattern also works with them.
Yeah, and those are also available on our website. They are on our Notions page. I suspect, or actually they're not on our Notions page. I think they're on our templates and rulers page, right? And I'll put that link right now in the chat as well. And don't worry, if a bunch of you are excited and do that and it shows up that they're sold out, that those templates are sold out, we're getting more next week.
Is it okay to use pattern in last year's calendar? Yeah, if you've got it, yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I know that the thing that makes me nervous with last year's calendar, make sure, I think they had a printing error, and we put, let me check right now.
Thank you for reminding us about that, Mary Lou, because there was an issue with the printers.
And I'm checking right now because they put, there was an errata, and I'm just going to check right now that, so if you have that, if you go to our website, at the very bottom of our website, there is an
under
errata,
the Facebook icon and all that.
There's an errata page, which is for corrections. I can put that in the chat for you, Mary Lou. And if you go there, there's a link to get the correction. I don't know what happened.
There was some issue where they printed the wrong file. And it wasn't our
and
error.
So we don't have many corrections, but when we have them, we immediately put them on our website. So that I just put that link there.
I am so glad you asked that question.
Because you have all the directions and the material list. All that is correct in the calendar. It was just something got printed wrong, and I don't even know that all of them were wrong. So just print this out. It'll be safe.
So we'll help you through the palettes and the editing and the cutting and the piecing and everything. But one other thing that I'm always a little hesitant to talk about this because this is such for some people it's a controversial topic, and if you disagree with our position on this, we just ask you to keep scrolling. But some of you may know that we live in Chicago, and that there have been 35,000 documents or undocumented migrants who were fleeing
oppression of different
oppression
sorts.
and problems in their countries, and they were shipped or flown and by the governor of Texas, and they were dumped on street corners in the middle of Chicago's winter. And we have been working, our town of 52,000 people took in 170 of these people. And we have been raising funds for their children. A third of them are children. And we have been raising funds personally and through our businesses to help these people be fed and have them housed while their asylum paperwork is being processed.
And our local government has been extremely active. The entire school system embraced them, set up special, like all the kids are in school. And yeah, it's just a very good community response to help people who are in really, really dire situations.
And in some cases, we've befriended one particular family who had to leave before they even could get passports. And so they're really, they left behind their lives and their jobs and their pets
and their dogs and a couple of their
yeah.
adult children.
So part of what we have been trying to do is part of this initiative is we hired them to go through our scraps and sort them into
beautiful
by
bundles.
color, and we're going to add to our website something called Fabric for Good. And these I get so emotional talking about this. It's just it's real to hear their stories, to see the videos of them walking through 7 countries to get here,
through jungles,
to only then be dumped on a street corner in the middle of the winter.
And also knowing them, they so desperately want to work.
They just want to work. They just want to work.
And so
we paid them to bag up some of our scraps, and we're going to sell them in a new product called Fabric for Good. And 100% of the 100% of the sales will go to supporting these families.
Right back supporting your families.
So if you want to do a maximalist version of Friends All Around, these will be a thank you for the positive. This is some people have very strong feelings about this, but
and we do too.
These are
they're wonderful people.
Yeah. So we're going to have these bundles up on our website. We have a lot of them,
and they will be sold as it's kind of grab bag by color assortment. There will be neutrals, blues, greens, red, oranges, and I think purple pinks.
Yeah, but then we also have solids versus prints.
And so there are a bunch of these. They're not on the website yet. Everything is made. You won't know exactly what you get, but they all will be the same general quantity. I can't remember I think we have 4, each bag has about 4 yards, and they're not small scraps. We try, in most cases, they're a minimum of 1/8, often a minimum, like between 1/8 and 1/4 of a yard. We wanted it to be really usable. And we wanted it to be like, if you're doing these curves, they're not just little leftovers. They're most of them are from ends of bolts, or they're useful sizes.
And just kind of to understand the situation these people are in, the family that we've been working with, we take to the grocery store and make sure that they have, because they're in this tricky situation where, until they have their work permits, they can't find work, but they need to be able to eat and all of that. And the wife asked me if we could buy some shampoo and some feminine hygiene products and basic basic necessities.
And they've,
So-
they've become real I mean,
Yeah.
they were here this week baking cookies,
Yeah,
having coffee
yeah.
after dinner at our house,
Yeah.
and with the kids.
So we're going to be selling all of our scraps through this, and as always, we'll cover the postage as well. So we hope that whether or not you use this for the friends all around, if you're a scrappy quilter that
Lots of
you'll
beautiful
just kind of
fabric.
just keep looking. We're just, you'll have your selection of color, but you get what you get kind of thing,
Yeah.
and it's priced for that.
But they're nicely sorted, and I'm smiling because as the wife was working at one table sorting, and she had such a great sense of color. She'd come to me occasionally with a kind of blue-gray fabric saying, neutral or blue? And like, oh, you should be a quilter.
And I will say, this has been going on since we've been involved since the beginning of the year. However, we each speak varying degrees of Japanese and French. We do not speak Spanish, but we have these long conversations via translation app.
Oh yeah,
we're like good friends at this point.
When we're all around, everyone has their phone out because
Yeah.
we're just talking and translating nonstop. And
Yeah.
I think Weeks and I both can read, when it's printed, we can read a decent amount of the Spanish, but we just can't speak it.
So there's some wonderful questions here about, is there an online site to donate to as well? We could set up a GoFundMe
Or something.
Actually, you know what? We can do it through the group, the Oak Park group. There is an overall group that we can put a link to. I'll put a link on our social media, on our Facebook pages, and there have been Amazon wish lists set up for the whole group, but are you asking for this specific family, or are you asking for the overall group? Maybe what I'll do is just
We'll figure
link
it out.
you. Yeah.
And because I think, there's this issue that there are so many people in need, and there's always a struggle of helping everyone, helping individuals, and we do a bit of both.
Yeah, at one point when they first got here, I told Bill, I said, because I knew there were children, and we adopted a family for Christmas and got them winter coats and stuff like that. That was a different family, but I just told Bill, like, if you see a purchase for 100, little girls' underpants and 100 little boys' underpants, on our credit card statement,
That's why.
it's correct.
But I also want you to know, like,
Could we just make sure the little kids have clean underwear?
but even at Christmas, there was a need for books. And we thought about a woman who 18 years ago worked here at 20 years ago at Modern Quilts Studio, who is now kind of an art director at a children's publishing company. And we called Sandy up and she said, I'm coming over with 3 boxes of bilingual. We happen to have a bunch of Spanish, English books. I'll have them in my trunk at the end of the day. They're yours. And it's just so wonderful. I mean,
and we were asked if we could donate like some rail card, like the mass transit, transportation cards. I'm like, we're going to Costco. We're getting snowsuits. They don't know that they need snowsuits. Frankly, they were children. But anyway, we will be. Thank you for all of your positivity around this. We will be doing what we can to post links of where you can donate. If you're in a can you delete that, please? We will be posting links to other ways that you can participate and give. I know that Denver and Chicago and New York have the most number.
There's, as we know, there's need everywhere for many different
Yeah.
things. So people are helping out in different ways. So just thank you, whatever you do.
And we'll get the bundles up.
It seems like it was
website
so
as soon as
wonderful
we
when
can.
we were thinking about this National Quilting Day and the Scrappy Quilt and the help that they've been providing. It's really great. So Anne was asking, the scrap bags aren't online
We're getting there.
yet. That will be
Over the weekend.
Over the weekend, I was gonna say they're
Yeah.
and we'll put this out on social media to make it a little more clear what we have.
And we'll also put up the schedule for the videos, what time we're doing the videos. And it would really be helpful to know, I was thinking like 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to give you time between to be able to cut and sort. I don't know whether that works for time zones. So,
but everything will be on Facebook Live, so it'll be captured and you can watch it. So we totally understand not everyone can participate in real time.
Yeah.
But I think you all know on the Modern Quilt Studio Fabrics and Patterns page, there's such a sense of community. So
we just need to, yes. Sorry, we're dealing with,
Yeah, it's just trying to moderate a commenter there.
Yeah.
So
let's see. There were also questions somebody asked about if we can show them how to use our Modern Arcs template. And the patterns that use that explain how to do that. But in general, it's the same as a curve in that what you're looking at is in the same way. If you've done any of our other patterns that have done curves, you're going to want to just start by pinning in the center of the curve, and then at each end of the curve, and then in the middle of like here, 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 and here.
The Modern Arcs template, when you go to use it, it's like a part of a giant curve, and they're actually among the easiest curves to piece.
Yeah.
Because they're so gentle that when you're actually sewing, it almost straightens out.
Yeah.
They're beautiful to work with.
Yeah. So what other questions do any of you have about, is everybody's secret agent?
Oh my gosh.
The quilts have been
Insanely
incredible.
beautiful.
Oh, and you want to talk about the virtual exhibition?
So for the virtual exhibition, a lot of people have either messaged us or put on social media the question about including their color code. For the virtual exhibition, the one thing that will be up is we're going to ask everyone to upload a square photo, since these are square quilts. And some of you may not have the ability or understanding of how to crop. So I will have this all at HQ later. But if someone does upload a rectangular photo, we will crop it for them. But I think it's, we're not going to be able to have separate images for the color code. Most of you have it on the back of your quilts. So I think for those that want to share that, it'd be best to post that in the group. The exhibition,
that's a perfect place to post it.
Yeah, the exhibition itself will focus on the finished tops. And I am blown away by the variation. When we designed this quilt along, we wanted it to have a lot of room for personal expression through fabric choices, mission choices, and color codes. But I don't know that I thought I had an idea of the range of what we'd see, and it's far greater. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and I think, you've done such a wonderful job supporting each other as well. And it's really fun for me that there are people who are going back and making a second one with a totally different palette. And that is so helpful to for people to see the variety that you can achieve with that pattern. And I think one thing also to talk about is that And this is the case with any of our patterns. I'm trying to see whether it's with these as well, is that you can think, even this is our hide and seek pattern.
Made with the modern arcs.
Yeah, this is made with the modern arcs. That, let me see if you can see that. And that's also like a transparency quilt as well, or it can be. But that is also a situation where you think about the unit, you know, and the unit and how you can repeat the unit, how you can change the unit, you can, you know, turn it sideways. There are lots of ways for those of you who want to make larger quilts to think about parts of the quilts as units you can expand on, or that you can morph into a new design.
If you can hand me this, for instance, we did this quilt, the Friends All Around, as half circles that are what are called half brick repeats. So each row is offset by a half. You could make these full circles, so they're kind of targets,
or quarter circles,
or quarter circles.
Yeah.
And this finished quilt is about 56 by 56, the pattern. So if you wanted that to be a queen, you can just keep making and making and making blocks.
Yeah. So let's see. The so when is? Do you have the dates for when they're?
I'm like, for the exhibition.
For the exhibition, like when and can you give them some guidance, some guidelines on how to take good photos?
So I've talked a little bit before about taking photos, but first let me just say the virtual exhibition, the uploads will be available in about 3 weeks. On March 20th, we will post a link to a site where you can upload a single photo of your work. And
Can you remind them about the file name and all that?
Yeah, so you'll upload a file, whatever the file name is, becomes the caption of the photo on the site. Unfortunately, in some cases, that gets transferred and it becomes a bunch of numbers, and there's nothing we can do when that happens. It's a technical thing, but and again, this will all be on HQ, how to do this. And as I said, we love square photos. One of the great things about this quilt is it's pretty easy to get away from and take a photo head on.
I need to see the chat.
And so photos are great that are square, straight on. I mentioned earlier during the quilt-along, the mystery quilt-along, that a trick to getting accurate color is to take a blank piece of white paper and include it in your photo a little away from the quilt, that digital cameras, phones, color correct based on finding pure white. So if there's something pure white in the photo, it helps balance all the colors. So, and I'll make a post about this again, but putting a piece of white paper off to the side, taking your photo, and then cropping that paper out will really help guarantee or come closer to getting true color work.
And then also, if you want to shoot your quilt outside, although you might think a sunny day is your friend,
it's not.
Yeah, a cloudy day is actually your friend.
A cloudy day diffuses the light much more evenly, and part of what makes quilts so beautiful is their texture when they're quilted. But if you try to shoot on a bright day, you're going to get very severe shadows with the quilting, and that will detract from, especially with a transparency quilt, it will kind of, the contrast of severe shadows can overpower the subtlety of transparency.
Yeah.
So shooting on a cloudy day.
Also, sometimes the texture of the quilting in bright sunlight makes it hard to actually see the fabric.
Oh, it makes it really hard.
The prints.
So shooting quilts, cloudy days are great. Definitely avoid high noon on a clear day. That's kind of your worst case.
And we've often recommended for people who don't have like a place to hang it, if you want to be able to hang it without the wind, you know, or you don't have somebody you know,
Holding it.
holding it for you. Fences, community tennis courts. There's a variety of places where you can hang it flat.
Yeah.
So let's see. Do we have any other questions for us before we sign off for the month? We will be we'll post the schedule for International Quilting Day on all of our platforms. And
with links to the publication if you want to get that, and to the digital download, because
or the templates if you want that, and then we will definitely post the links to the Fabric for Good, and also other fundraising that we know of in the area. So I'm glad that Mary Pat says that her templates are correct.
Oh no, she said the
sorry,
test square is not 1 inch square. So Mary Pat, this is a great question. So it is in the original, it's 1 inch. So when you print, every printer has a different dialog box that often has a little tick place that you can either say print at actual size, fit to page. You want to make sure that fit to page is not checked. If it's printing actual size and when you measure it's not quite right, then you have a box usually that says scale, and you can alter it from like 100% to 105% and print it again and measure. The original file is accurate, but every now and then certain printers shrink things. Most often they shrink them. So in your case, you say it's not 1 inch square, it's shorter. I would almost guarantee that there's a tick box in your printer dialog that says scale to fit, and that's checked. The other thing I'd recommend is if you have a PDF, which is the file format we have here, it will often open up in your browser. So if you're in Firefox or Safari and you have the PDF open in your web browser, that's not the ideal way to print a PDF. The ideal way is to download the PDF and double click on the download, and it opens up in a PDF viewer, which is technically a little more stable. So I hope that works. There's always,
and then Valerie St. Clair has been emailing and commenting on Facebook about the other transparency patterns. Can you talk about them when the availability?
So we have, for the transparency line, right now I believe we already have the swatch quilt, a digital download that has new color placement specifically for the transparency line. We have Frame of Mind is available. We have 2 more that are coming out in the next 2 weeks, I'd say.
They're going to be one at a time.
One at a time, yeah. So there are 2 different quilts right now that are available, and there are more coming.
There are 2 more coming.
2 more coming. We're simply trying to do one thing at a time.
As much as we can, as fast as we can.
One of the joys of a big mystery quilt is that you get to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of variations, but that also means we're dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of variations, and so we're getting there.
Yeah, we're almost up to 1,500 people. That we've been dealing with. So it's been a lot.
And then the other thing I'd say with the transparency quilts, because we've done so many transparency quilts over the years. Can you hand me issue 15, please?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of quilts that, such as our hide and seek quilt, which were not made with our transparency line, but they use the transparency concept.
Exactly.
And I highly encourage people who have done the Secret Agent quilt or other transparency quilts to have fun looking and trying to figure out, how could I take this quilt that I've seen elsewhere that we've done, and how could I use those fabrics? Because I think you learn a lot by trying to place the fabrics yourself as well. So you don't have to wait for us. You can look at those as well.
Yeah, but it's
but they're coming.
Yeah, we're working as fast as we can.
Yeah.
So, and then I think there was one other question. Oh, what is the time frame for getting the scrap bags? We're going to try this weekend. It depends on how many orders we have to fill today. But
they're all made.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of And I think this is always one of those behind the scene things that you get to see, like when there's a new product. There's photography that goes in, there's coding web pages, there's a lot, the accounting software. So having it in hand is not the same as having it go live to you. But we're working on it.
I will say we're going to be out of the studio for a couple of days on another project next week. So please be patient. Instead of the same day, it might take another day or so for your package to get out. But emailing, we ship things as fast as we possibly can, and the time frame in which U.S. Postal Service delivers it to you is not
in our control at all.
It's not in our control, but it's also not related to how far away you are.
Oh, it's crazy.
So if you have thoughts on that, contacting the U.S. Postal Service is the best way to go on that. So we will give you all of the information about the fabric bags when
as soon as they're on the website. It'll have quantities, it'll have prices, all that.
But it will include shipping to U.S. addresses.
Yes, is included free. So
okay.
Well.
Yes.
So much.
So we'll
and
see
thank you all for your support of this. We really appreciate it.
Most of you, I admit I was a little discombobulated by a couple of ugly comments, but
they're gone.
Yes, they're gone, and we really appreciate those of you who understand our intention here. And we have done fundraising over the years for lots of different organizations and for lots of different causes, and we try to spread our resources
and we will
across
continue
lots of different communities, and this is yet another one.
So thank you, Maria.
Yeah,
and
we will
we'll see you
soon. And
can't wait. And
actually, we'll see you on the 16th.
On the 16th.
Yeah, for those of you
and we've never done this before. We've never had just kind of a blitz one day quilt along. It'll be really fun.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, even if you don't want to make a whole quilt, you could make 4 of them and make like a little pillow or something.
And also, if you don't have time to quilt, you might want to just tune in for the thinking about how we work with fabrics and build palettes. So
that's true too.
Make it what you want. I mean, we're not trying to create a new UFO for anyone.
No,
just figure out what you want to learn from it. Tune in for that part. Join us, and that's great. So we will see you on the 16th.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. Take care.
All the details will be on our website and on our social media.
Bye-bye all.